Yeah, I think you want to be selective where possible. However, if you're newer in business, you may have greater need to acquire clients than perhaps an established business who's got, stronger cash flow, greater cash reserves. In those situations, of course, you can be a little bit more selective. But I think, if you want to be, a credible business that's got, strong values, you still want to make sure that you are selective in the sense that, if a client comes to you or potential client comes to you with an objective, you want to be sure that you can achieve that for them. You don't want to just take their money for the sake of taking their money, right? You've got to be able to deliver on the promise or expectations that's being laid out. So as much, analysis and sort of interviewing you can do on the front end there to make sure that it's a good fit, I think is going to be a worthwhile exercise.
All right. To kind of carry on that hypothetical, if I'm starting my fresh new business, what are some of the ways I could actually find leads that are at least more potential to kind of sign on after a while? I think one thing you mentioned earlier was through conferences.
Yeah, conferences can be effective. Certainly if you are, speaking at them, that might be a little more difficult in the early days because typically sort of, speaking invitations only come when you built up a track record and some degree of credibility. But you could certainly go to things like BNI type meetings and Rotary clubs, those types of situations where you can present and certainly kind of interact and network. I found when I got started, I believe this would be my recommendation to someone starting now, or if I was to do it again, is begin with the people that already know, like, and trust you. Those people that you have already got credibility in the bank with, even if it isn't for the particular, area that your agency would be operating in, there is going to be people that are going to trust you because you are you, because they know you and they know how you do business or how you interact. So I would look to go to those people first, and you can start off actually by offering your services for free if you're able to, or certainly at a discounted rate, with a view that as a result of doing a special arrangement for these people, that they come to you then as a result of that with either a referral to someone else or a case study and a testimonial for the work that you've done. And then you can then leverage that, of course, to acquire new customers from there through their network. And I would also then probably look at things like sort of warm outbound. Good ways to get clients in any vertical is doing kind of video audits, opening up a Loom account, shooting some recommendations to an ideal fit, good prospect. That's a great way to build value and credibility very, very quickly, and kind of demonstrate your expertise to someone who might be a good fit for your services.
I've got the business kind of running. I've got a few leads that I've turned into clients now. But I've come across this one thing that I'm not too sure what to do really. I know link building is a thing. I know digital PR is a thing, but I'm not too sure how do I actually go about these two things. What are your thoughts and what would you kind of advise?
So this is a question around you wanting to kind of offer those services, but not sure which direction you want to take.
I know link building has its pro and con, and I've heard more recently that digital PR is catching up in it's becoming more trending to actually offer those services. So I want to know which one, if I should go for both or if I should offer one over the other.
I don't think there's any one correct answer here. So what you decide to offer should certainly be influenced by your skill set or your knowledge. Skill set, of course, if you or your team are going to be offering this service. Knowledge, certainly if you're just going to be selling it and then outsourcing that perhaps to a vendor who can deliver it for you. So where you have strengths, of course, will guide perhaps which one of those or both that you offer. The second thing perhaps is just demand, where is the demand? Ultimately, both of those two things serve a similar end goal, but not necessarily the exact same end goal, right? So with digital PR, great for building domain rating, great for brand and coverage, great for getting conversations, but not always so easy to use digital PR to drive, links specifically to, commercial pages that you want to rank, right? Whereas, more traditional or tactical based link building, can be much more kind of effective. Other factors is also, of course, the type of clients that you're working with. So digital PR tends to suit slightly more sort of B2C driven businesses. Sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult with B2B, although not always impossible. What else would I say? And also, the type of companies that you work with. So, some businesses are going to be niches that are very, very difficult to kind of digital PR. And also some of those businesses are just not going to have the reputation where digital PR really works effectively. So a lot of different things to consider there. Ideally, maybe both at some point in the future, but get started with, what makes most sense, both from a knowledge and a skill set standpoint and a demand standpoint from your customers.
Right. This also might be an depends question, but would you, let's say, go from a full service agency, or would you prefer rather to niche down and specifically take, let's say, a couple of services only?
My advice for someone starting out would be to start broad and then narrow over time. It's quite difficult to acquire customers anyway early on, so you don't necessarily want to limit yourself in the amount of services or range of services that you offer. Once you have, delivered a bunch of services and you kind of know what you like and perhaps what you're good at, then you can kind of niche down and narrow it into certain areas. I would typically go that way. And then ironically, what many people do after they've niched down is they then expand again in the future, right? So you've got great at one thing and then you open it back up again. You don't have to do that. You can stay niched as we've done. There's no kind of right or wrong way to do it. But unless you come from, a background where a particular vertical is really well aligned to your credentials and your experience, then I would typically start broader because you'll probably have better luck there.